Imagine opening your front door to the sound of heavy, deliberate knocking. Not the friendly kind, not even the kind you'd get from a persistent salesman, but the kind that sends a jolt straight to your chest, makes you freeze, makes you wonder, what on earth now? That was me, standing in the middle of my tidy little kitchen in Tempe, Arizona, dish towel still in hand, staring at two uniformed officers on my stoop. No warning, no text from a neighbor, nothing from my husband, just the cops, staring back at me through the glass. You know what I mean? That kind of afternoon. I opened the door, trying to keep my voice calm, not let on that I'm already replaying every decision from the past week in my head, wondering if I forgot to pay a bill, left my car somewhere weird. You name it. Afternoon, officers, I say, polite but just a little wary. The taller one, Grant, tips his cap and tells me straight up, "We got a call from your HOA about a violation and a possible confrontation. Need to ask you a few questions." My heart actually skips. A confrontation? With who? I've been in this house all day, working, cooking, minding my own business. The second officer, younger, shuffles on his feet, can't meet my eyes. "They said you refused to comply with HOA rules. Decorations on your property." Now I can't help but laugh. Not the real kind. The kind that comes out when something's so stupid you just don't know what else to do. I step aside, let them see exactly what we're talking about. A sunflower flag, just flapping there in the breeze, bright yellow, cheerful, something I bought at a craft store for spring. Not political, not even a sports team, just sunflowers. "You're here because of that?" I ask, pointing. They don't answer, just stare at me, the silence stretching so long my hands start to shake a little. "Let me get this straight," I say, trying not to let my voice crack. "The HOA called the police on me. Over a flag with flowers?" Grant clears his throat. "We're just following up, ma'am. They claimed you were aggressive." Aggressive? I actually blink. I haven't even talked to anyone from the HOA, not once. I got a letter, sure, but no one knocked, no one called. The younger one is looking downright embarrassed now, his eyes fixed on the ground. Before I can answer, heavy footsteps echo behind me. My husband Anthony appears, still in his police uniform, badge gleaming, radio clipped on his belt. He finished his shift less than an hour ago and hadn't changed. "What's going on?" he asks, voice carrying that command I've heard 1,000 times. The officers straighten up, and just like that, the power dynamic shifts. "Lieutenant Morton?" Grant asks, suddenly nervous. "Yes, and you are?" Anthony replies, arms folded, stance wide. The story, it turns out, isn't about the flag at all. Not really. It started 3 days earlier with a stupid little envelope from the East Ridge Homeowners Association. I came home from a long day at the community health center, arms full of groceries, found that envelope stuffed into my mailbox. The HOA, always so official, always so cold. Unauthorized modifications to exterior decor. Failure to comply may result in fines or further action. I stood there on my porch, looking around like I'd missed something major, but the only new thing was that flag. When Anthony got home, I handed him the letter. He read it twice, eyebrows climbing higher each time. "Can't be serious," he muttered. "A sunflower flag isn't against any rule I've ever read." And I checked the handbook myself. As long as it's not offensive or political, flags are allowed. "How's a sunflower offensive?" he joked, and I laughed, but it stuck with me. The tone of that letter, like I'd done something really wrong. Gerald Whitman, our HOA president, is that kind of guy. Retired, always out in his golf cart, measuring lawns, peeking at everyone's porch. He'd never liked us much, and honestly, I always felt like he was watching us just a little more closely than everyone else. So I called my friend Trisha 2 streets over. "Did you get a letter about porch decor?" I ask. She groans. "Girl, they've been targeting people left and right. Last month, it was a welcome mat. I ask if I should just take it down, but Trisha's not having it. Don't give in, Danielle. They'll just keep pushing." And I wanted to believe that standing my ground was the right call, especially for my kids, who were already noticing how we got treated different than some families around here. Next morning, the flag stays. That afternoon, Gerald rolls by in his golf cart, squinting, taking notes. Doesn't say a word. When I get home, there's another letter taped to the door, final notice. I hand it to Anthony, and his jaw tightens. "We'll cross that bridge if it comes," he says. But I could feel the thread underneath, not just about the flag, but about control, about reminding us we'd never really fit in here. Turns out, Gerald wasn't done. That night, he's got the HOA board in his living room, plotting. She's ignored 2 notices, outright defiance, he says, waving my letter in the air. Marjorie, another board member, tries to inject a little sanity. It's a sunflower, Gerald. But he wants escalation. A call to the police will send a message. Richard, the other board guy, just sighs. If this backfires, I want no part of it. But Gerald's already typing up his complaint, painting me as confrontational and uncooperative, stressing the possibility of a disturbance. By morning, it's out of his hands and into the police system. Back in my kitchen, I'm sipping coffee when my daughter Kira asks if I took the flag down. No, and I'm not going to, I say. She hesitates, then tells me she heard some kids at school say their parents don't like us because of it. My heart sinks. People always find reasons to complain, I tell her. Doesn't mean we bend every time. Meanwhile, the report hits the police dispatch. Possible domestic disturbance. The words echoing off the radio, making it sound way worse than a fabric flag ever could. Grant and Noah, those 2 officers, get the call, drive over, talk about how most HOA complaints end up being nothing. Trash cans, barking dogs, skateboards. But hostile means paperwork, and paperwork means justification. I have no idea any of this is brewing when they pull up outside. Kira sees the cruiser first. Mom, the cops are here. I try to look calm, but inside, my heart's pounding. I square my shoulders, open the door, keep my tone polite but firm. You can ask questions, but this is harassment. It's a sunflower flag. For a second, Grant's mask slips, and I can see he's questioning the whole situation. And then Anthony appears behind me in uniform, and the officers actually look relieved, like they know this just got a whole lot more complicated. Lieutenant Morton, Grant says, all formal now. We responded to a report from the HOA, claimed your wife was hostile. Anthony's face darkens. That's a lie. No one's spoken to her in person. Just letters, taped to the door, stuffed in the mailbox. The whole thing starts to unravel. You came here prepared for what, exactly? Anthony asks. A dangerous situation? Grant's lips tighten. We were told it could escalate. Danielle can't help but laugh. A sharp, tired sound. Escalate to what? Me watering my plants too aggressively. Noah, the rookie, finally speaks up, almost apologetic. With respect, sir, it doesn't look like there's a problem here. Across the street, the blinds twitch. A neighbor pretends to adjust her flower pot, but she's just eavesdropping. Anthony thanks the officers, but makes it clear this was a colossal waste of time and a misuse of their authority. I ask the question that hangs heavy in the air. What happens to the HOA for filing a false report? Or do they get to keep using you as muscle to bully people? Grant can't answer. Noah promises he'll flag the address in the system so this doesn't happen again, but we all know Gerald won't quit that easy. The cruiser drives away. I close the door, finally let myself feel the nerves. Anthony says, it would have gone differently if I hadn't been here in uniform. You know that? I do. That's what scares me most. If I'd been alone, just me and the word hostile in that report. Well, you've seen the news. By the next day, the whole neighborhood knows. Trisha corners me on a walk, her eyes wide. Did the HOA really call the cops on you? Yeah, over a flag, I tell her. A couple other neighbors join in, some siding with Gerald, others too scared to pick a side. One even says, rules are rules. The HOA just wants what's best. Anthony steps in, steady as ever. There's nothing in the rules about a sunflower flag. This wasn't about order, it was about intimidation. People don't want to admit it, but they know. That night, Gerald is waiting at the edge of his driveway, arms crossed. He tries to act friendly, but I'm not playing along. You lied, I tell him. You said I was hostile, made me a threat in my own home, and thought nobody would question it. Anthony doesn't let him wiggle out, either. Do you realize what could have happened if I wasn't here? Gerald finally loses his bluster, mumbles about a miscommunication, and slinks away. The next morning, a new HOA email lands in my inbox, all about community harmony and cooperating to avoid further incidents. They want the story to die down, but it's too late. The neighborhood Facebook group is on fire. Some people defend me, others parrot Gerald's line that I'm defiant. Kira asks if we'll have to move. No, honey. I say, that's what they want. Later, I sit on the porch, the sunflower flag waving proudly. Patricia Gomez from down the street gives me a thumbs up. Others look away. The line in the sand is clear now. Anthony joins me, his voice quiet but firm. If it can happen to us, it can happen to anyone. But if we don't talk about it, it keeps happening, quietly, again and again. I decide then, silence is not an option. I write a post for the group, laying it all out. Not defensive, just the truth. This wasn't about a sunflower flag, I type. It was about what happens when authority gets misused to control people just living their lives. If you've ever felt pressured into silence, know you're not alone. By the next morning, my inbox is full. Messages from neighbors thanking me, others still spewing the same old lines. But the story's out. Anthony tells me even his co-workers at the precinct heard about it, some joking about a sunflower movement. I know the war isn't over. Gerald will find another way, another rule, another report. But for now, the flag stays up, and I stay standing, because strength doesn't come from keeping quiet. It comes from refusing to be made small. So here's what I'd say to you. Anyone who's ever been on the wrong side of one of these petty little power trips, don't let someone else write your story. Speak up, stand your ground, and let the world see who you really are. And yeah, if you've got thoughts on right and wrong, community, or just want to vent about your own HOA nightmare, drop them in the comments. I'll be right there with you, flag waving high.